Welcome back. Oh, man. Summer in 20 minutes, Jim. Pretty exciting, huh?
It is definitely exciting. I had the afternoon off, got off a little bit early, and I raced home and got out on the deck for about 30 minutes before I came down.
Well, man, I mean,
I got to get some sunshine.
You got your Hawaiian shirt on. You are ready.
I'm ready.
Jim Estrada joins us, owner and lead inspector with Property Inspector LLC, who has actually performed over 3,500 inspections. And, Jim, I know now firsthand because you actually helped my brother. And
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and it is incredible to see what the layman, myself or my brother, when you go look at a house, the difference in, I suppose, what you want the house to be and then what it really can be.
Yes, no question about that, and what it takes to get it to that level. And that was the big problem with the house for your brother.
Yeah, because it's behind the scenes stuff. You know, you might notice something's wrong if you're not an inspector, but it really comes down to knowing like what's behind the paint, what's under the floors, what's in the attic, places that I didn't go.
Well, and Paul can attest too in terms of doing a remodel. There's nothing like opening up a wall to a great big huge surprise, and all of a sudden that little afternoon project that you were going to do turns into a $5,000 mess.
And that is not fun.
And that's not uncommon.
Really. Everything, I mean, I guess everything costs, everything's expensive now if you're going to get it fixed to repair things.
If you're going to do it right.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Jim, it is summer. And so, with summer comes its own problems with houses. I mean, rust is something people think about, and standing water in basements or standing water anywhere is something people think about. People aren't always considering summer as a tough time for houses.
Well, and people aren't thinking about doing anything in terms of summer except getting out and going and sitting on
throwing
the deck
on Hawaiian
and going
shirts.
to party and throwing on Hawaiian shirts. Exactly. So, that's a big problem that I have too. So, but some of the things that we do have in terms of common problems, a lot of people are having air conditioning now, which for years and years and years we didn't have much, but more and more people are getting them. People forget about just the basics in terms of just kind of some of the basic maintenance that they can do easily, like changing their filter. If you stop the airflow of your air conditioning system or slow it down immensely, actually your evaporator coils can freeze up, and the whole system will start to leak water all over and also start to stop working efficiently. When you go out to kind of look at that, I would first pull the disconnect, which is out there in a little box right alongside of the outdoor unit. And oftentimes they get noisy. They've been running for a long time, so it's just basic stuff like tightening up screws. Sometimes a Phillips screwdriver or an Allen wrench or something like that will be necessary, but very easy stuff. Over the winter time, from all the rain and stuff, the unit could actually have settled a little bit and not be level anymore. So then the blades are maybe hitting the casing. So we want to make sure that that's level.
What's a good way to check for that? I mean, do you go look? We have air conditioning in our house, and we never turn it on because it's like unless it gets over like 90 degrees. So three times a week. Otherwise, we like to just open the doors. But I mean, I guess that's a problem because we're never using it, and it just sits there for 362 days out of the year.
Well, that's a problem. That is true. Most people actually use it quite a bit more. Once you get used to having air conditioning, it's pretty nice to come into a house that's 70, 75 degrees in the summer, even if it's 80, 85, because not only does it cool the house, but it dehumidifies the house. So it makes it a lot more comfortable to live in, no question, during the summertime.
So, but if it's just sitting there, I mean, I should probably go inspect it before I turn it on.
Well, ideally...
or turn it on and then at least go look at it. Listen.
Yeah, turn it on and leave the house. No, the best thing to do, I think, really...
You know me so well.
I would really like to see people that have air conditioning to be on a maintenance program where in the fall they come out and service the furnace and also come back in the spring and service the air conditioning. Okay, just so many little things that happen in terms of just tree growth. People forget about that. We want to have at least a foot of clearance around the unit so that the airflow can be good. We also want to make sure that the insulation is around the low pressure lines, which are the bigger lines, just to make them efficient. Okay, we also want to keep the debris outside of the units. And I'm amazed, and I'm sure Paul would never do this, put a dryer vent right close next to an air conditioner. Now, an air conditioner has fins like a radiator in a car, and the fan is on the top of it, so it's actually sucking air in through the fins for the cooling process. Okay, and so I've come to outdoor units that are totally encased with dryer lint, and they can't figure out why they aren't working very well.
You know, I could probably figure that out. What are there outside? I mean, that's another piece. So, you know, you get the air conditioner, especially the big ones that are outside, and that's an issue. What are some other issues that are happening outside? And I don't know that people understand like the inspection process, but you are pretty darn thorough when it comes to looking at an air conditioner or other outside things, not just basement and crawl space. What are some big outside issues that people are running into in the summer?
Well, probably one of the biggest things is their sprinkler system. Okay, they start turning them on, or they start planting trees, and they're planting trees too close to the house, causing potential foundation problems. And then after the tree is gone, grown about 3 to 5 years, all of a sudden we got a great path for carpenter ants, rodents, all kinds of things to get up on the roof, get into the attic. So those are huge issues. The sprinklers are probably one of the biggest issues, and people overwatering, because we get all the water going against the foundation. We start to get water into the crawl space. Oftentimes when they're planting the shrubs and stuff, they'll actually mound things so that the water, even when it rains, actually runs to the house instead of away from the house.
Because they don't want it to puddle in their pretty yard? Or because
it's just become the fashion, quite honestly. The landscapers on new construction always mound it up to make it look good and make the plants that they buy, they're only 2 feet tall, they make them look big, I guess. Instead of planting them out 5 or 10 feet away from the house, they want to get them close to the house.
And then the water comes down, it's literally running right into the foundation.
Exactly.
So water can be a big issue, I guess, even in the summer, not just the winter. I mean, it sounds like what you're saying.
Water is a huge issue. And why we're kind of talking about sprinklers and stuff, starting that system up in the beginning, you're going to have a lot of just basic little problems that could have happened over the winter, from breakage. As the lawnmowers start to come out in the springtime, you haven't really started to turn your sprinklers on yet, but it's amazing how the ground has shifted and people are cutting off the sprinkler heads. Or during the winter time, somebody was out in the snow shovel in the driveway and stuff and broken off some sprinkler heads. So there's always going to be some repairs of a sprinkler system, whether you do it yourself or having it professionally done.
We're here with Jim Estrada, owner and lead inspector from Property Inspector LLC. Jim, we have a couple minutes left before we have to go to break. What about pests in the summer? You mentioned ants.
Well, carpenter ants are our big problem, and then also typically anabid beetles, which are kind of commonly known as powder post beetles, also the lictid beetles. The carpenter ants, they love to just get started in all kinds of rotted wood around the house, from stumps, and they'll kind of work their way. And one of their favorite ways to get into a house is across power lines. Okay,
sounds like a cartoon.
It is like
ants
a cartoon.
Are crawling across the power lines, and
yeah, they love to
take the picnic basket. I guess there's not a lot of power lines by picnic baskets, but you get the idea.
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's exactly what they do. They do, of course, fly during the mating season when they're looking for new nests and stuff. The way you can tell a difference between the ants and termites. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of subterranean termites in the Northwest, but they are starting to come this way, as is everything, unfortunately. The ants will have 2 wings on each side, as do the termites. The termites' wings are the same size. The ants are different sized wings. They also have bent antennae, and they also have a waist, where termites don't have a waist. Okay?
They have like 2 waists, don't they, ants?
Well, they can, but typically that's more of a neck, head,
than a waist. I got it.
Okay.
I never really thought about an ant having a neck before.
Well, some things get us really excited when we're a home inspector, okay?
Jim, thanks so much for joining us. Hey, when we come back, Paul Koker's with us. And, if you actually do have some